Welcome back. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to fold Taun We, the Camino cloner from the Star Wars movies. The designs for this model can be found in the book Star Wars Origami by Chris Alexander. Really nice little model. It has some very complicated folding and some kind of delicate folding that needs to be done. If you're going to start with a square, you can just do that. I'm going to be using an A4 piece of paper, so if you're anywhere else in the world, just take your top corner, fold it over to make a triangle, roll it towards the edge, and align those two edges of paper to make a valley fold right along that diagonal from corner to corner. Now, remove that bottom piece and we'll get started. For Chris Alexander's paper, you'll have to kind of make sure that you follow the directions and make sure you've got the right side up and the right side down as you start folding. Now, to get started, he takes the bottom edge here and valley folds it up to the top edge. Okay, this is going to set the horizontal, the horizontal valley fold right in the center of the paper. Now we're going to take these two sections and divide them in half. Take the bottom edge here, fold it up to the center, crease that valley fold nicely, and then I'm going to rotate my paper, fold the bottom edge, what used to be the top edge, valley fold it into the center, and now we've got the top and the bottom divided in half. Okay, I'm going to open those two flaps. I'm going to take my bottom edge here and fold it up to this middle line, and I'm just going to mark it like that so you can see which line I'm talking about. So I'm going to fold this up, valley folding it up into the middle. Do the same thing with the top edge. I'm going to rotate my paper, fold this top edge into the so that it's equal with that middle line, dividing the bottom piece of paper in half. Oops. And notice each time I'm doing a really careful job to crease those valley folds. You want to have nice, strong folds here. It's going to come in handy later. Then open those two up, and now I'm going to take this bottom edge and fold it to my first halfway point. This is going to give us the last dividing line that divides our paper into equal eighths. Alright, open that up, and now I've got fourths on the bottom. I'm going to rotate it and take this piece and fold it to the original half line, which is here, and fold it up there, and that will give us a nice even eighths of division. So we have fourths on the bottom and fourths at the top. Okay, so it's all nicely divided, valley folded into eighths. Now, in the directions, he says to divide each of these sections in half one more time with a mountain fold. And that's kind of difficult to do. So instead of mountain folding it, I'm going to flip my paper over, and I'm going to take this and valley fold the bottom edge to the very first line. Okay, now this is where you just have to be patient and delicate with your folding. Now that I've valley folded that, it's really a mountain fold on the original side, remember. Now I'm going to take this and just follow this crease underneath, and then take this new bottom edge and valley fold it up to the next crease. We're basically making a pleat fold all the way, or some people call it a fan fold because it kind of looks like those fans you used to make in first grade where you just folded the paper back and forth and then kind of unfolded it and used it as a fan. Now do the same thing. Take this little piece that we have here, fold it underneath, follow the valley fold, or rather the mountain fold at this point. It's already there. Fold it underneath, and then take this edge and fold it to the next edge, and you're just making this fan fold all the way up. So I'm going to speed up a little bit, but as you're making yours, be as accurate as you possibly can. After each fold, use your bone folder and crease it really well so that later on, when you need to do some complicated sink folding and pleat folding, those lines all line up in the right way. Otherwise, it's really, really difficult to do if these folds aren't accurate and really deftly creased. All right, so speeding up just a bit. Alright, so by the end you should have the fan fold looking something like this. Alright, now this is my original side because this first crease here is a mountain fold like it says in the directions. Now we're going to do the same procedure. I'm going to flip my paper over, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to follow the same procedure. I'm going to take the bottom edge here, fold it up to the top edge, folding it in half. Now this is a little complicated because the paper really wants to accordion fold or fan fold up. So you kind of have to mess around with it and make sure that you get it kind of even. Once you get that central crease here, then you're pretty good to go. Follow the same procedure, bottom to the center, rotate, bottom to the center, folding it into halves. So now we'll have even fourths. Okay, open it up, bottom into that half line. And as you fold this, try to make sure that all your lines are lining up. It's a little difficult to see with my white paper in the video, especially if you're in my classroom because the projector is so bad. But at home you should be able to see that, and you should be able to do that fairly well on your own. Bottom edge into the halfway fold. Okay, open up, bottom edge to the opposite halfway fold. Okay, rotate, bottom edge up to the opposite halfway fold. So we have nice eighths now. And now we have to do the mountain fold here. So I'm going to flip my paper over, I'm going to valley fold it, bottom edge up to the first little bit. And then proceeding to make that fan fold. Same idea, exactly the same. Alright. And again, after each fold, try to make it as accurate as possible. Use your bone folder so the creases are nice and strong, so that when you get to the point of doing your synced folds in just a minute, it will go much easier, and you'll see that in the video how that needs to play out. And if you try this video more than once, the second time around, make sure you really take this part slow and do it well, so that it's easier when you get to the difficult parts. Great. Now we've got this accordion fold or fan fold completed, and you should have a diagonal line somewhere on your paper. If you don't yet, you want to make sure that Taun We's head is in the upper left-hand corner of where you're going to put this new diagonal. If you don't have this diagonal yet, valley fold this bottom left-hand corner up to the upper right-hand corner. Now I've already got mine from making my original square, and so I'm just going to kind of realign those pieces. If you don't have one because you started with the Taun We square, then make sure that this corner right here has her head right there. Okay? Otherwise it doesn't really matter. Just make sure you have your paper flipped over the correct way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a water bomb base right here in this upper left quadrant where her head is going to be. So I'm going to take this corner here and I'm going to fold it to the middle. If you find the middle line, here is the middle, and here is the very middle of the paper. So I'm going to take this corner here and fold it, valley fold it into the middle. Alright, and then I'm going to make sure that this line right here is folding backward, so it's going to be a mountain fold, and this area here is going to be our water bomb base. So you're going to need to just force this corner in a little bit, keep this diagonal a mountain fold, make this diagonal a mountain fold, and then fold that water bomb base piece in. Take this mountain fold and reverse it into a valley fold. Like this. And you should have a water bomb base. Okay, so there's my water bomb base, and it's on the back. Now, here comes the kind of tricky parts. We have 3 lines. Here's the bottom of our water bomb base, and we are going to fold this line, and this line. We're going to sink fold this whole top triangle inside. So I'm just going to separate this water bomb base now, and I'm going to mountain fold the bottom line. I'm going to mountain fold it all the way around, and this is where your accurate folding from before comes to play. Alright, so here's my mountain fold around the bottom edge. Alright, I'm going to kind of fold these in so they almost look like a box. Alright, now I've got another line here. I'm going to valley fold that piece up on my second line. So this is a sink fold. And then I'm going to sink this last little square back inside. And this is where, if your folds are not accurate or you didn't use your bone folder, the paper will not want to go where it needs to. Alright, there is my water bomb base with the central part sunk inside. Now this part of the next part of the directions is a little confusing, and was confusing for some of my students. In the directions it says to pleat fold, but what it doesn't tell you is that what it really means is to pleat fold the front section and the back section the same. So you're going to take this flap and you're going to flap it backwards. And if you look closely, this is going to be Taun We's head here, and these are going to be her 2 arms. Okay? So what you need to do really is kind of sink fold all of this stuff all the way down. So I'm going to rotate my model so Taun We's head is kind of at my belly. And then I'm just going to start sink folding. I'm going to take this and valley fold and press these little corners in. And this is what makes this model challenging. Is because you have to press these pieces in, and valley fold, mountain fold, valley fold, mountain fold, just like we already did, but you have to pleat fold them just right. And this is also where the beloved bone folder comes in, because on some of these little creases it's hard to, at least for me, to get my fingers in there. So there's our first little pleat fold. Now we're going to pleat fold the next one. And so really I'm doing the back and the front at the same time. Whereas in the directions it's a little confusing it, because he can only show the front, and it says pleat fold, which is correct, but then it's just confusing, especially to a beginner who doesn't maybe know how all of this is really supposed to look. Alright, almost there. Alright, now we've got it. In the directions, there's 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, that are left over, and the rest of it is all pleat folded up like that. Now he says to take this corner here and squash fold it. So what it actually does is if you take this piece here and you bring it up to meet this top edge here, crease that, then unfold it and open this flap upwards, and on the inside you want all this pleat folded stuff to just kind of stay right in the center like that. And then take this corner and squash fold it down like so. Now to kind of lock all of that in place, we're going to valley fold from this little point to that little point. So you're going to take this and just valley fold it inside. Now another confusing part in the directions is it doesn't show this overlapped piece of paper right here in the directions, but after messing around with it quite a bit, that should be there, and it will look different than the directions if that's what you're looking in the book as. Okay, now along these lines we're going to mount and fold these pieces backwards. So instead of mount and folding, I'm actually going to flip it over, and I'm just going to valley fold this side, valley fold this side, valley fold one more time, and valley fold one more time. So by the end you should have something looking like this. Now the directions show this view and show you valley folding this direction. So when you're done, it looks something like that. Okay, now if we kind of let the paper go, you'll see Taun We's head here, and you'll see Taun We's arms, and if you kind of pinch all of this in, you can separate it where that original sink fold was, so that her arms come down and her head is separated. Now her head is very small, alright, and I apologize for, again, the smallness of the camera, but what it says to do first, and it makes a lot of sense if you've actually got the original paper, how this is all supposed to work out. But what you're going to do is you're going to take this little corner and inside reverse fold it like that to make a square. Then you're going to valley fold these pieces up, this little leftover corner here. You're going to valley fold it up and valley fold it around the back, and this actual piece is her face, so it makes sense if you've got the face. Then what you're doing is you're going to separate these flaps, and you're going to kind of squash fold this head inside like that, so that her head is coming down around that piece, and the squash fold should look something like this from the top. It's like a diamond shape, and there's 2 flaps, her head and then like the under part that you just got done squash folding. Okay, so that's how to make her head. We're going to fold a little bit of that in just a minute, but now we're going to work on her hands. Her hands here, you want to take this corner, there's a bunch of corners here, you're going to take the top corner and you're going to mount and fold it in. So I'm just going to lift my model up, and I'm going to take this bottom edge of her hand and mount and fold it inside, making a triangle like this. Okay, so it looks like that on the inside. Then I'm going to take the remaining flaps and valley fold them inside so that they match. One, and I'm going to actually take these other ones and just fold them right over the top. And this kind of locks her whole hand in place. So there's 3 flaps there that need to be valley folded in, and the top one, the 4th piece, is mountain folded. It should look something like that when you're done. Alright, now you do the same thing on the other side. You're going to take this piece here and mountain fold it backwards. So that it's lined up like that. Okay, and then you're going to valley fold these other pieces inside. Once, take the next flap, valley fold it inside, take the last flap, valley fold it inside, and now you have those 2 hands, and that helps to keep those hands stuck together. Alright, now we need to take her hands and fold them kind of upward this way, and what you're going to do now is work on the body part and flattening this body part out. So what you're going to do, there's going to be this bottom flap here, and this one we're going to kind of bend this way, and this other flap here we're going to kind of bend out the other way like this. And you're going to want to have a diagonal fold in this little section here. Okay, so you've got this a diagonal fold like that, and you want it to be a mountain fold coming out this way. Then this whole section here is going to fold down like that, and it's going to fold kind of flat. Now the trick of this is on the back you're going to have to actually flatten this, like reverse this crease here and push it down so that it flattens this way, and then you can kind of run your finger up and kind of squash fold that bit in. So you pinch here and kind of squash it in like that, and that creates the like little dress part, for better or for worse of my explanation. Alright, then I'm just going to take these 2 flap areas here and gently mountain fold it through the middle of that crease to kind of create the edging around her dress. And I just kind of gently mountain fold. It's more of a gentle mountain fold rather than a real hard crease. And then do the same thing, mountain folding the other side here down the center, just more as a placing crease. Okay, so you have that little dress piece. Now the last part is her head. Her head needs to be, these 2 little flaps need to be flipped together. So on this corner you're supposed to take just a little teeny bit of it, like that much, and mountain fold it around the back just to kind of keep her head in place and to make it more of like a octagon sort of shape. And fold this little corner back around the edge, okay, for those 2 sides. And then it says to take the back corner and fold the back corner down, which is kind of hard to do because of the spine that's there, but if you fold her back head down and kind of squash it a little bit, it turns into that shape. And if you look at the original model here, it looks like that. Okay, the last little step is just to take her arms and bend them so that they kind of stick out and down like that. Alright, and that is how to make the Taun We model found in Chris Alexander's book, Star Wars Origami.